Alrighty, so I've got the heads on. They're all torqued down, got the push rods in. Literally about to try and wind it over by hand and see how much compression it's going to get. Hopefully get 150 across the board. It's probably going to be a while to wind it over, but let's just keep going. I've already got 24 in the ratchet there in the middle of the valley. Right, so let's wind this over and see what compression it's got. Alrighty, so not fucking happy at all. I bolted the starter to the side of it and just run it to a battery, a couple of wires, give it a compression test. Did 135 first and then did 246. First one come back on number one was 155. Was like, yeah, sweet, hopefully it keeps that the rest of the way. Number three gets 85. Well, as you can see there, that's what compression it has across all of them. So, I called it fucking quits for the day. I'm not happy. Heads are gonna have to come back off again. I'm going to be Googling and seeing how much shit's gonna cost me, because I'm gonna have to get new valves, get the seats reground. I'm gonna have to pull the pistons and rods, because if I'm getting that done and I don't want to stick it all back on again, waste more money with head studs and gaskets and have the rings be fucking shot and the bores be fucked. So pistons and rods are going to come out of it. It's going to get new rings. I'm going to bore the hone. I'm probably going to have to get the crank linished. Probably going to have to, or gonna get new bearings for the main bearings and the con rods. So looks like the motor's not going to go in as soon as I wanted it to. I'm going to have to fully freshen it up, or the other option is literally just throw it on the motor in the VY. Alright, so I'm back out here again today. Had a night to think about it, and I'm going to be getting con rod bearings, main bearings, full set of new valves, and some head studs and a timing chain tensioner from Rock Auto. It's only going to cost me about, I think it's about 300 bucks or so for all that, shipped to my door. Had to look up a 2004 Chevy Impala SS, because they run the L67 motor in the States in those. So that's where I'm getting the parts from. A lot cheaper than what it would be in Australia. I'm going to have to get the head sent away. Well, not really sent away, but take them down to the local engine rebuilders here. It's the game plan. Pull it down to a bare block. I'm going to hone the bores and get it all freshened up again. So let's get into this. A bit dark that side. So we'll get into this and start pulling this motor down and getting it all ready for doing some rings and bearings. So we'll stop jibber jabbing and we'll get into it. Alright, so I've gotten to this far again. The front cover off. I've got the flywheel off the back. Haven't got the back plate off. But as you can see, it's corroding away. It should look like this, and it's looking like this. You can see how much it's corroding away in those spots. Welcome back to the channel. Today, got the day off work because we got flooded. So that's where the road's supposed to be, under there. And the whole front yard got flooded. You can see, well, I sort of see where it gets a bit darker is where the water came up to. So the Commodore normally sits there, but had to move it into the shed because it was bad. Got 3.5 meters in height, so all this all up through the backyard, you can see up there, still flowing through. The water has dropped since this morning, but it came up pretty far. We had a heap of water even come up here, up around there. You can see all the water still there. It's coming out from under the house. You sort of see where the dark is on the grass over there for how far it came up. Alrighty, so just taking the rear plate off. Just a bit gunky. But yeah, looking inside it, and look at how corroded that is. That should be all flat, the same size as this. Alright, so I was just trying to figure out how to get the cam gear bolt undone, and noticed that the top of the guide snapped. So this motor was not far off going fucking bang anyway. It's gonna be a bit more money than I anticipated going into it, but well, apart from the paint job and a couple of hail damage dings, it's gonna be a lot better car in the end. I mean, who cares what the car looks like, right? Pull up next to people and go, oh, look at this chatty ass VT Calais, and you just blow their fucking VS apart. Or their SS apart, I should say. Like, see ya. Thanks for coming. No worries. Right, so I just pulled the number 6 cap, and to be honest, the bearings look a lot better than what I thought they were going to. There's no major scarring or anything. Can't grab any of it with my nail. And from what I can see, the crank actually looks pretty good too. Alright, so pulled them all out, down to number 1. Pull the number 1 out, and it's worse than the others. All the others just have a general wear on them. So as you can sort of see, like, they've all got, oh, one of them back here looked like it had started dragging something through the start of the bearing. So about here it looked like it had started dragging stuff through, but this is actually catching my nail, which isn't good. Definitely up for bearings. That would have been a failure. The timing chain tensioner would have been a failure. The rear main retainer plate seal would have been a failure. The front cover probably could have been a failure if it corrodes anymore. I'm going to do Welsh plugs while I'm here, because I might as well. If the covers look like that, then they're going to be cactus. Alrighty guys, so it's been, I don't know, a week, maybe 2 since last time I started recording. But in that time I've cleaned up a few parts, put them in the bead blaster, and cleaned up a lot of the alloy stuff. It's showed a lot more corrosion. Done the alternator bracket and water outlet for the front, and the bracket that goes around there, knock sensor as well. I've done a couple of them parts. I've acid dipped all of the nuts and bolts so that they come out clean and they're good to just throw back in. You don't get shit all over your hands. But also, most of all the alloy stuff I have, well, it's starting to rust again because that was metal, but I bead blasted the sum, so it comes out all brand new again. All the inside as well is pretty much going to recondition this whole motor brand new again, so it'll have 0 Ks on it. So I've done the sum. I've got the heads in at the workshop now. Alrighty guys, been a while since we updated on the VT, but when I stuck the heads back on it, the head gasket, put studs in, torqued it all down, and I put starter motor on it. It still had no compression in those cylinders, so it's getting a complete recondition, block, bearings, rings, heads, all getting done. Today on my lunch break at work, I think I'm going to sandblast a head and try and deck it, depending on how long it takes to sandblast, on whether I'm just going to sandblast both heads and then deck them another day, but yeah, today's plan is to sandblast ahead and deck it, and then later on down the track I'm going to respray paint it. I'm going to put some new Welsh plugs in it, so everything's going to be good again, because if the alloy corroded like that, then the steel Welsh plugs slash alloy Welsh plugs, whichever ones are in it, are going to corrode as well. Alrighty, so I'm in at the bead blast machine now, and this is the head, well, one of the heads I'm going to do. It's already been in the hot tank and cleaned and gurneyed, and it's just been sitting for a while. So yeah, I'm going to bead blast inside all here, bead blast the outside, and bead blast this side of it as well. Got to take these bolts out, but yeah, so that's what it looks like before bead blasting it. See some lines and crap on there, and I'll give you a look what it looks like after I pull it out of the bead blaster, because I can't really set this up. Been about 5 minutes. The head's all sandblasted now, so that's what it now looks like. A lot cleaner than it was. I've missed some spots, I'm gonna have to chuck it back in and get them, but and so you can see the difference in what the clean head looks like compared to what the non-clean head looks like. Looks a lot better, but I'm going to be spray painting them back black again, so where it's like black here, so all these sections are going to get blacked, all this is going to get masked off, and yeah, it's going to end up looking like a brand new head again. So onto this other head, and then I've got to take them over the wash bay and flush them to get all the little bead blasting material out, and they'll be brand new and should be ready for decking. And I've also got the supercharger here that I'm going to pull apart and bead blast all this. Probably this one. I don't know if I'm going to bead blast the housing and just leave it how it is. But yeah, I've got to get the oxyacetylene onto it, heat up around here with pressure on it, and pull that off because it's on there absolutely fucking tight. But yeah, all the parts for the supercharger are in this box. All my collets and retainers and everything are in there. So I've been doing a little bit on my lunch breaks when I get some spare time. But yeah, definitely glad to be starting to get into the heads and that, and then do the block next. So that's what the final product looks like, nice and decked. I'm going to get the gasket and measure out for the intake ports and smoothen them off a bit so that it's a bit of an easier flow in for the air. Hopefully help with a little bit of horsepower, probably not much, but yeah, anyway, that's what it looks like, all nice and shiny. So that's 8th thou. I'm going to have to match 8th thou on the other head, because that's what you do with your V6 heads or your V8 heads. Alright, so that's both heads decked. Now just cut the seats tomorrow and the next day. So that's both heads looking fresh. I can't wait to get it back together and having them looking the OEM black, because yesterday I did buy some engine enamel high temp black paint, and I did bring inlet gaskets so I can attempt to just smoothen off these corners on the intake runners so that we get a bit more smoother air running into the cylinder. And well, everyone knows smoother airflow means more power, but it's probably going to be like 0.02 of a kilowatt or horsepower. But Every little bit helps.